From the Daily Mail, police on horseback in restaurant, air quotes, bust. Staff were heard arguing with officers in the street outside of Frog in Covent Garden, run by former Master Chef finalist Adam Handling. Police on patrol noticed a significant number of people in a restaurant. The upmarket restaurant is run by former Master Chef finalist Adam Handling. And if this was in Oregon, so Oregon just legalized all drugs here. I saw a really hilarious meme on the internet that had a picture of some cops going up to a house, and it said in the caption, it says, the officers come up and they say, how many people are they cops knock on the door, they open up the door, and the cops are like, what are you doing? And the people said, I'm doing heroin. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Oh, you're eating Thanksgiving. And then they arrest them because they banned large groups. Like they said you couldn't have people over for Thanksgiving. It's like, yeah, this is crazy, bro. Like, this is absolutely crazy. Like, no Thanksgiving. It's so stupid because everything about this is stupid. Everything about this is stupid. We covered this last night on the show. Hold on. I was actually the first person to actually notice this. It's actually just today, the news dropped in the mainstream media about this. I've been covering it for months, so you should smash that like button and smash that subscribe button because you do actually get news before it hits the mainstream media on this channel. And in here, you'll see the provisional death count from all causes. This is from the CDC. Provisional death counts for COVID-19. It's SARS-CoV-2. I hate it when they say COVID-19. It's not COVID-19. It's just COVID. You got SARS. COVID's not the same thing as SARS. If you got COVID, doesn't mean you got SARS. You got to get SARS to get SARS, dude. SARS is just that. It's severe acute respiratory syndrome. So what's the total number of deaths from all causes? So far, it's been 2,005,900. So, no, sorry. 2,590,780. This is 11/28. So this is the 333rd day of the year. So let's do the math. Divided by 333. So far in 2020, there's been 7,780 people who died per year. And if you chimes that by 365, because it's a leap year, but we're not able to compare to a leap year because the other one was not. You'll see that by the end of the year, given this death count, approximately 2.839 million people will have died. So let's look at the CDC death counts for 2018. You'll see it was 2.839,205. So only 538 more people are scheduled to die this year from COVID, man. Oh. For real. You just watched the numbers. There's nothing sketchy about that. It's 333rd day. Divide the total death count so far, according to the CDC, by 333. Multiply by 365. You end up with approximately the same amount of deaths as 2018, except our population has increased. So actually, I think that at this point in time, we're at fewer deaths than we actually would be. And they updated this chart, I think, last night because, yeah, they updated it today because I ran the numbers last night. When I ran the numbers, they hadn't updated them yet. And so they updated them, and it's actually lower than yesterday's prediction when we were on the show. It was like yesterday's prediction was like 1,000 people more would have died. And so just to prove that I was actually the first person to actually come out with this information, I'm going to show you the image that I had created I last modified it in 913. Wait, hold on. You can't see that. So here's the thing. 913 was when I modified it last. Here, let me throw this back over here. And, oh, that's not it. Here it is. Back when I was Real Simple News. It is, it's still kind of Real Simple News. So here I showed the COVID death rates here in this, and I showed you that we can see actually that we're still actually okay. So last time I did okay, so when I did this calculation, I had gotten at this time 2.7514 million. So if you added on we had a large population increase, so that's still going to be about the same amount of deaths. So all the deaths don't come in all at once or at a steady rate. They don't. It's not like every single day, like an approximately same amount of people die. It kind of goes up and down. So I mean that's not that's absolutely normal. More people would die in flu season than so. What the other articles were saying, is basically the same thing what I was saying, but then they poked in also too, looked at the heart disease numbers are way down, and also too the flu death numbers are way down. But yeah, it's a pandemic, dude. And if you missed the first show, well, you clicked on the article or on this video because probably of the title, and you're gonna have to go back to the beginning of the show to actually get that thing. They are the assassination of those Israeli people, of the Iranian nuclear physicist, what was his name? Mohsin Fakhrizadeh, some CIA, some anonymous CIA official, intelligence officials told the New York Times that Israel did it. Israel says we didn't do it. So somebody's lying. Somebody is lying, but all of the evidence points towards the action was done in order to destabilize the Middle East. And why were they trying to destabilize the Middle East? To start a war? Because Trump's going out of office. Trump was not a warmonger. His legacy was to not have a war on his watch. He's the first president since Jimmy Carter to not have a war in his administration. Or I think the first term of his administration. I think that was the stat. And that's his legacy is the Middle East peace deal. So they're just trying to destabilize Trump's Middle East peace deal. And this is a pandemic, dude. Look, what you got to understand about the pandemic is that China, look at these scenes of China disinfecting the streets for coronavirus. Remember these ones? They're fumigating. Right? Why are they fumigating? They're fumigating because They know that this fumigation stuff's going to kill COVID, right? No. They don't know that this is going to kill COVID. They don't. They don't know how COVID exactly is spreading because it just came about. Little to nothing was known about it. I believe that the Chinese Nazi Party staged these fumigation scenes. I believe that the Chinese Nazi Party is attempting to do a power grab in China because they're losing power. They are. Capitalism is getting entrenched in Chinese culture, as well as avoidance of government surveillance. And in order to maintain power, they're taking over the South China Seas because $4 trillion in trade goes through there, and it would allow them to dominate the global market on trade. And they want to be the world's number one superpower so that they could show their people how good of a job they're doing. So they planned this pandemic, started in Wuhan, the city where they had the virus lab where they studied the coronaviruses. And they gave out false information after this happened in order to delay our response. They did all these things to drum up fear, like the fumigation. They welded the apartment complex buildings' doors shut on TV. They had to make sure that people saw that. And they also built a huge pandemic hospital. And it's a showing of power. It's a showing that they're trying, it's not them who created the pandemic, that they're trying to do whatever they can to stop it. And so they staged these scenes to basically trick you into thinking that it wasn't them and that they're just trying to help. And it's because they're trying to do a power grab because they're losing power. It's entirely sketchy what they're doing. They have every motivation. They have every resource. They have every reason to do it. It's a win-win for them. What it does is it bankrupts the world's economy. So they already got the lockdown on the manufacturing. They're communists. They got hundreds of millions of people who live out in the countryside poor. And then they got filthy, stinking rich Chinese in the cities that live high on the hog. They got this really steep social structure there in China. It's not a flat social hierarchy where people share everything equally. It's a very steep social hierarchy where most people have nothing, and a very small percentage of people have a lot. It's a very steep social hierarchy, and it's based off of merit. It's not based off of whether or not you want to come up. Like communism is supposed to be everything's community owned, where you can come up from the lower social hierarchy and you can come up to the top of the social hierarchy because it's the community controlled, and they're supposed to not have a steep social hierarchy. This is why you call communists far left, because on the left you have flat social hierarchies. On the right, you have steep social hierarchies with Nazism and Sharia law farthest right next to fascism. And so they're the Chinese Nazi Party because they allow private property ownership there. That's mutually exclusive of communism. You cannot have private property in communism. You also cannot have money. You cannot have capitalism. You cannot own businesses that are capitalist businesses in other countries because by definition, that would be capitalist and that would not be communist. Communist is anti-capitalist. So this is why they are called the Chinese Nazi Party. So it puts a different spin on these lockdowns. You got these, this is a stage that's just a scene that's repeating itself all around the country here in the United States. In the UK, we covered a story yesterday. Let me pull it up real quick. Here's another one from the Daily Mail we covered yesterday. The UK has been borrowing 6 million lira, which is a kind of near $1, to save each COVID person from dying. And this is so stupid. Most of these people that they're paying $6 million to save each are over the average age of death and are in long-term care, and they're going to die. They're going to die anyways. They might die this month. They might die next month. If they got COVID this month, they probably died this month. But it was only maybe a 5% chance that they died if they got it. It's like, they're like, you got to wear a mask, man. If you don't wear a mask, you're killing people. Okay, so what does wearing a mask do? Can anybody put in the comments, what does wearing a mask do to protect you from dying from COVID? It slows down the rate of spread of the disease. Does it stop it? No. It slows it down. So what is that? What is the end game? What's going to happen in the end? Everybody's going to get COVID multiple times before you get a vaccine, and the vaccine that you get will only protect you from some strands of COVID, just like a flu vaccine. Right? Yep. So wearing a mask does not protect you from dying from COVID because some strands are more deadly than others. There's a 1x strand that gives you a 1x probability chance of dying. And then there's the 10x strand that gives you 10 possibilities of dying because it kills 10 times as many people. So when you get it, your chance of dying is 10 times as much as the 1x strand. So there's a bunch of strands, right? So what happens when you get sick with COVID 5 times with the 1x strand? You have less than or equal to 5x probability of dying. And so when this happens, you become immune to the 10x strand because the white blood cells in your body are going to be able to smell the proteins on the outside of the virus, and it's going to allow them to eat the infected cells in your body and prevent you from dying from COVID. Because right now they're smelling the wrong cells, and because of that, it's like an autoimmune response similar to lupus. So the only way for you to save yourself is to get sick with COVID. And the only way for you to minimize your chance of dying is not to wear a mask. It's to exercise, eat healthy, lose all of the extra weight. And what is going to happen when you lose this weight? You're going to be happier. You're going to be healthier. You're going to live a lot longer. You're going to dramatically reduce your chance of COVID. All of these lockdowns are bullshit. They're bullshit. They're all run by scared liberals. Look, we got these liberals have to be removed from power. We cannot allow liberals to control our society because of Steven Pinker's universal morals. If you're unfamiliar with Steven Pinker, very, very, very smart guy. Steven Pinker is a world-famous psychologist, and he invented this concept called universal morals through a study that he did where he did a study on people all around the world, very large study. And what he showed was that every culture around the world has 5 different classifications of morals. They are cleanliness, authority, group loyalty, self-protection, and fairness. Every society will rate each classification of morals above another. Some societies are obsessed with fairness. Some of them are obsessed with cleanliness. Some of them their top priority is authority. Some of them, their top priority is group loyalty. So the liberals, their priority is fairness. And the problem with fairness is that it causes you to care more about other people than it does your own family. And this is the fundamental threat of liberalism. I used to study psychology, so that's how I know this stuff. People who prioritize fairness, they will sell their family out to protect somebody that they never met because they didn't think it was fair. For example, I used to be a liberal and I was an anti-racist. I had found out about 10 years ago that my grandmother was racist a long time ago. I don't know if she was racist still, but I disowned her. I stopped talking to her because I was an anti-racist jerk. My grandmother died about 6 years ago, and when she died, she was afraid and she was alone. And I believe it was because I disowned her. It was an extreme burden on my family. And I feel horrible that I disowned my grandmother. I feel like a bad person. And the reason why, I believed in fairness above everything else. Let's look at these Steven Pinker universal morals real quick again. Purity or cleanliness, authority, group loyalty, self-protection. So which one is racism? Is it self-protection? Nope. Actually, racism is a form of self-protection. Is it group loyalty? No, unless your group is anti-racist. Is it authority? Racism is the moral of authority. No. Is it cleanliness? No. Racism is fairness or compassion. This is the problem with liberals. They'll sell you out. You can't trust them. You can't. You cannot trust them at all. They're going to attempt to try to help someone out, and they're going to fuck you over because they don't care about you because you're part of the dominant class. They're trying to help out the oppressed class of people and the women who are getting discriminated against by this patriarchy of privileged white males that is underpaying the white woman. Even though in America, women control 2/3 of the money in America. Literally, women own 2/3 of the money in America. Well, they say control because people spend money on them. So a guy will actually work for the money and then they'll spend it on the woman, or they'll buy like a new car and then the woman gets to choose and she gets to drive it. As it turns out, women have different income sources that they're not reporting. So it's a complete lie to say that they're underpaid. And that's because people get married. Why do people get married? Typically to have a family. Okay, so what happens if you have a family? You're shelling out big bucks for kids, medical bills, schools. And what does that mean? It means you need more money. So what if you don't have a kid? What if you're a single white woman who went to college, you got a good job, you're putting off having kids so that you can move up the corporate ladder? How much money do you got to spend on bills when you're living with your boyfriend? Half. How much money you got to spend on kids? Nothing. You don't have kids. So what do you do with the money? Put it in your pocket? How much money does your husband have? More than you? It breeds class inequality. It's income inequality. Liberalism is a self-destructing ideology. It self-destructs. That's why conservatism is the way you have to conserve your culture. You have to ensure that your family stays alive. If you only have 0 or 1 kid, and your kids have 1 kid or 0 kids, your family dies. If everybody in your family does that, everybody's gone. Your full family's wiped out. Your parents just paid upwards to $1 million+ to raise you. That last I heard, the average paid per kid in the US was $1 million to raise a kid. And then your daughter doesn't even have any kids because she wants to go work for Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, George Soros, so you can move up the corporate ladder, so that you could have a boyfriend who makes more money than you, and you could not have a kid and just pocket all the money? And then your family dies. You just sold your family out for a raise at work when your husband was rich and you didn't even need the money. You're a piece of shit. You suck. You are the nightmare child, where once your family was alive and thriving and growing, and it was causing wealth and prosperity to come in through the extra people and the connections. The larger your family is, the more statistically likely you are to be to be able to get into politics and to become a powerful person. If you have a small family, you have 1x chance of being a politician per kid. 1x. If you got a large family with 100 people in it, you got 100 times that chance. It's a self-destructing ideology. You need to preserve your culture. You need to preserve your family. If you don't, it's going to die. And these liberals they're in a suicide cult. They're in a suicide cult. Their entire ideology is self-destructive, like what they're doing. Here, let me end this video because I want to make a separate video. Keep watching. The videos will be going on here for a long time. I like to go for like 4 or 5 hours reading news articles because it's fun. And maybe someday I'll get money out of it. Hopefully, if YouTube doesn't ban my channel because of my potty mouth. So don't forget to smash that like button, or if you didn't like the video, smash the dislike button and leave a comment down below. Did you like the video? Did I suck? Am I stupid? And the best way that you can help this channel grow is by sharing this video on social media and subscribing. So thank you very much for watching. Stick around here for the next video.